I met someone who knows your silence better than your words. They speak your name like they've missed you for lifetimes. Your heartbreak isn't a secret in the spirit world. They remember the version of you you buried. I met someone who still dreams the same dream you let go. Your soul told them everything you were afraid to say. They carry your ache like a familiar song. I met someone who calls your pain by its first name. They know the exact moment your heart cracked and why you never told anyone. The universe whispered your name and they answered like they've known forever. They recognized your sadness before you smiled. Your scars are sacred texts to them. I met someone who weeps for your unlived joy. They loved you before you knew what love cost. Your soul gave them permission to remember you. I met someone who mourns the version of you that had to die to survive. They heard your goodbye in a lifetime you never lived. Your shadow loves you more than your light ever did. They kiss the parts of you you keep hidden. Your tears made a home in their memory. They saw the storm in your voice and still stayed. I met someone who holds your regrets like prayer beads. Your loneliness sent signals to them across galaxies. They felt your heartbreak the day you lied and said you were fine. You never met them, but your soul did. They carry pieces of your silence in their chest. They asked me why you stopped believing in love. Your absence is louder in their world than your presence was in yours. I met someone who forgave what you never confessed. They remember the sound of your childhood laugh. They found you in poems you never wrote. Your pain lives in them like an old address. I met someone who never stopped choosing you, even when you stopped choosing yourself. They knew the real you before the world taught you to hide. You haunt them in soft, beautiful ways. Their heartbeat slows when they think of your name. I met someone who's been waiting through lifetimes for your apology. They speak of you like a sacred wound. Your soul is the song they hum in grief. They know the way your hands shake when you say, "I'm fine." They remember the night your hope died. Your secrets are written in their dreams. They touch the air like you're still standing in it. I met someone who broke when you broke. Their love for you never needed proof. They know which lie hurt you the most. I met someone who still walks toward you in every lifetime. They see your ghost in crowded rooms. Your silence shaped their whole world. They remember your goodbye more than your hello. They keep your name where most keep prayers. I met someone who holds your memory like breath. They carry your sorrow like a second skin. Your pain wasn't wasted. It woke something holy in them. They feel closest to heaven when they remember your eyes. They still wait for the version of you who believed in love. You left, but they stayed in love with your absence. They ache for the you almost became. I met someone who forgives what you're still punishing yourself for. They dream of the day your soul rests. They found your laugh beneath your brokenness. You never said goodbye, but they heard it anyway. They heard your silence like a scream. I met someone who saw the moment you gave up and loved you anyway. Your name is a soft ache in their chest. They don't speak of you, but they never stopped feeling you. You disappeared from their life, but not their heart. They still wear your love like a scar. They caught the pain you hid behind your strength. I met someone who knew your love by its ruins. They read your story in the way the sky weeps. You are their unfinished sentence. They found the you that even you forgot. They were built to understand your storms. Your sadness speaks fluently in their dreams. They remember the first time you didn't smile. They crave the version of you who trusted. You broke them with a silence you thought was kind. They still believe you'll return, even if as a ghost. Your love ended, but the echoes stayed in them. They carry your goodbye like it's holy. They recognized your grief before you had the words. Your name is still written on their soul. They wanted your truth, not your perfection. You were the prayer they never stopped whispering. They live with the version of you you buried. They fell for the echo of your pain. They learned to love your shadow first. Your departure was louder than your love. I met someone who still cries for the love you forgot to return. They still cry for the love you never knew how to receive. They touched your pain like it was holy scripture. They searched for you in people who barely knew themselves. They knew your breaking point before you reached it. You left, but your sorrow stayed in their bloodstream. They whisper your name like a spell that never works. They miss the silence that used to feel like home with you. Your memory hurts like a promise unkept. They've memorized the version of you that smiled before the world changed you. You forgot them, but their soul still remembers. They ache where you used to love. They held your pain with gentler hands than you did. You were gone before your body left. They saw the ghost behind your eyes. Your smile was the last lie they believed. They kept the version of you no one else wanted. They pray for the parts of you that never healed. They know where your voice trembles when you lie. Your soul visited them before your name did. They watched you drown in emotions you refuse to feel. They keep your memory in places they don't show anyone. You became a lesson when you were supposed to be a lifetime. They were the safe place you never noticed. Your energy still sleeps beside them. They knew your goodbye before your hello ended. They felt your love and your fear at the same time. Your absence grew louder than your presence. They loved the parts of you that scared you. They see you in broken reflections and forgotten songs. You left fingerprints on their healing. They remember the exact second you stopped loving them. They waited through storms for a whisper of you. You were a hurricane that apologized too late. They miss the you that never showed up. They caught fire trying to warm your cold heart. They bleed where your love used to live. They buried versions of themselves to meet you where you were. They forgave you before you ever said sorry. You took their love like oxygen and never gave it back. They worshipped a love you treated like convenience. Your love was a wound they disguised as poetry. They kissed the pain you never admitted. You were a masterpiece to someone who barely mattered to you. They drowned in the depth you never explored. You were a promise dressed as a person. They saw eternity in eyes that were already leaving. They gave you forever, and you gave them fragments. You haunted their peace with your silence. They read you like scripture and still got lost. You gave them reasons to question love, not believe in it. You were never gone. You just stopped caring. They remember the smile you gave everyone but them. They loved you quietly while you chased noise. You were their storm and their shelter. They kept waiting while you kept leaving. You taught them pain in the language of love. They gave you loyalty. You gave them distance. You existed in their prayers longer than in their life. They see your face in every almost. Your ghost holds their hand in crowded rooms. They still carry your apology like it's coming. You were their everything, but you called it a phase. They didn't lose you, you left. You were a home that set them on fire. They loved you in ways you'll never feel again. They ache in places you used to breathe life into. You were never meant to stay, only to change them. They broke beautifully, hoping you'd notice. You made them feel replaceable and unforgettable. You became their favorite regret. They watched you fall for people who didn't know your worth. They gave you depth. You stayed shallow. They made room in their soul for someone who never stayed. You called it chaos. They called it love. You never saw the war they fought to understand you. They believed in a love you left in ruins. You were the storm they called destiny. They begged the universe to send you back different. You weren't the right one. You were the necessary one. They held on while you slowly let go. They still write poems in your name. You were their beginning and their undoing. You never saw how much of themselves they lost loving you. They keep your love wrapped in silence. You became the ache in their favorite song. They stayed long after your heart left. You were a chapter written in fire. They built temples out of your absence. You taught them how to love in pain. They still taste your goodbye in quiet moments. They forgave you, but their heart never did. You stayed just long enough to become unforgettable. They still hope your soul finds peace. You gave them memories that cut like glass. They remember the warmth that turned cold overnight. You were a season they never recovered from. They traced your shadow through years of healing. You were the dream that broke them. They loved you more than you deserved. You were never lost. They were just never found by you. They made a home in your chaos. You taught them the cost of staying. They became strangers to themselves, loving you. You vanished, but the ache stayed loyal. They loved you like a secret prayer.